Coach, do you just want to start off kind of giving us an overall general review of the offense, and then we'll turn it over to questions from there.
Okay. So I guess my overall view of the offense is just pretty much based off of what we did during the spring. I thought we did what we needed to get accomplished this spring. I thought we got a ton of reps. We created a lot of depth at certain positions that we needed to see. It was really helpful for me to get in with our quarterbacks, develop that relationship with those guys. It was ups and downs throughout the spring with them, but I think overall as we look back on it, they got what they needed out of it. I got what they needed out of it, and I think it's going to be we got a good healthy relationship moving forward with me and that group, and the quarterbacks it's the pulse of the offense. So everything, my voice runs through them, and then those guys have the ability to get things ran within the offense. So overall, spring ball was very good. We have a lot of guys back here this summer. I think majority of our offense is here this summer, which to me it's maybe the most important phase that you go through during a season is this summer part where the guys are here on their own, voluntarily in the weight room, doing some throwing things on their own. So it's important to develop, to continue the development, things that we get them off of spring, but it's also huge for team chemistry and getting in here in the fall and getting ready to go.
Fantasy talked a lot about trust in the programming between players and coaches and coaches and coaches. How important is that to you, and are you also feeling that way with everybody? There's a trust aspect.
Important to me. I think it's the most important thing that the coaches are always on the same page. And I mean, as an ex-player, and I think our players, they feel that chemistry amongst coaches. Coach Fennessy's done a great job of putting together a fantastic staff here that beats to the same pulse, and it's all what Coach Fennessy wants. I think we all speak in a similar language and follow what he has and what his vision is for this program moving forward. And I do think, like I said, our players feed off of that. I think part of the reason why we have so many people here this summer is because they believe in this culture of this program and the direction we're headed. So I think it's extremely important, and I absolutely feel it.
Awesome.
How does the kind of the state of the program compare now to when you were here in 14 and 15?
It's just different. Different head coaches have different ideas and different cultures and what they want the program to be. Knowing Coach Fennessy and being with him for a large part of my life, really 8 years of my life being around him, I understand what he wants on a day-to-day basis. So it's pretty easy for me to, I guess a lot of the lessons and the things that I learned were from Coach Fennessy, so it's pretty easy for me to go along with and to already be bought into the things that he wants done. It's a pretty smooth transition for us to accomplish that. So it's just different. And I guess we'll just see how the program ends. But
Fennessy mentioned that you brought a bunch of different nuances to the offense, and you kind of had to present them to Fennessy because he's a little bit more old-fashioned. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say, like, could you tell me about kind of what nuances you came up with, maybe not specifically, but then how you kind of communicated them to Fennessy and how you took action on those?
Well, he's not that difficult of a guy to go in and talk to, first of all, so there wasn't anything too elaborate. There are a lot of things that, Coach Fennessy was my receiver coach for a few years and my offensive coordinator when I played NIG 8-4, so there were just some things that I knew that was the way that he did it. And through experimentation and other places I've been, I've realized there's a few different things that we had been doing that we could tweak a little bit, and I think that's going to help our players out to be more successful. So I just brought him a few things up to him. It wasn't a ton of things, but I did have to ask him a few times. Let's just try it. Spring ball. Let's experiment with it. If it doesn't work, we can go back to the old ways. But I think for the most part, a few of the things worked.
And then can you confidently say that you have built depth in offensive positions?
Absolutely. I think that's what spring ball is all about, is building depth. So there's a lot of guys that all they had was fall camp from last season. You bring in some junior college kids that have never played at the Division I football level. So just all those reps that you get in spring ball, that's what you create, is depth, and it starts to shake itself out. But now you looking into the next season, you know that at least every person on our offensive roster has played Division I football against a Division I defense. So it gives you a lot more confidence in their ability to go out and play on Saturdays.
Go ahead.
Are there specific positions that you added depth, or was it just the overall offense in general?
The overall offense in general, I would say. I think you can look at every single position. Quarterback first, is the first spot. Tanner's only player that's gotten legitimate reps here. Gunnar Amos came in the middle of fall camp last season, so really didn't get that install period. So for him to come in to get a full install in 15 practices was huge. Offensive line, we were looking to fill a few holes that were left open from last season. And really receiver, I mean, we know everyone knows about Mikey and Mitch, but you know, we have quite a few guys that have potential in that receiver group, but just haven't had a ton of playing time. So that, I mean, every single group you can look at, but I would say probably offensive line and receiver were the ones that I felt like we really helped develop over this spring.
I think I know what your answer is going to be, but what's your strongest position on offense?
Hopefully all of them.
Okay, I like it. That's a good answer.
Any other questions for Coach Ferriter?
No, I'm good.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Mike.